Hello everybody and welcome. My name is Bryn and I am going to be giving you guys a brief overview of the controller slash tank configuration that I have set up. And this is obviously just my personal preference, but as somebody who likes to play Final Fantasy XIV with a controller and somebody who also ends up taking a lot, there really wasn't anything that I saw on YouTube that really captured this. Obviously, you can use this for more than just tanking, but I'm going to kind of go over a couple things, a couple helpful settings that I prefer, some hotbar settings, then some useful macros, and then I'm going to kind of talk about my hotbar layout here as a paladin. And if needed, I can also do the other two tanks as well. I always try to configure all my tanks hotbars to be very similar, thus allowing ease of switching between the three different tanks as of Heavensward. So I'm making this video as a patch 3.1, so if there's any new features that are introduced, I'll have to update the guide at a later date. So with that, I'm going to go and get started with some helpful settings. So hitting start and going over to system and then character configuration, and then going into controls and into filters. This is something that I use just to help make it easier when targeting and playing with the controller. You have kind of two targeting modes by default: when your weapon is sheathed and when your weapon is drawn. So when it's sheathed, I kind of filter out party members, pets and minions, lines, and this is because on the controller, hitting up and down will allow you to cycle through your party, and then hitting left and right will allow you to cycle through all of these things. When my weapon's drawn, left and right, I just want to focus in on any kind of enemy, any kind of fightable enemy, and I can do that there. Another thing you can also check out and do is that when you hold down your L1 or your left bumper button, pressing X, square, triangle, circle, A, B, X, Y, whatever, will allow you to actually switch into different kinds of modes. So I can easily switch to all enemies, party, friends, etc. So that it's helpful when all of a sudden you are like, oh, why can't I target this person? Because it might be due to your filter settings. So anyway, I would always recommend that you guys play around with these. I can again be found under your control settings and then under the filters tab, etc. All right. Second big one is under hotbar settings, and then if you go to the hotbar settings and then you go to cross, you're going to see a couple options here. The really you're going to want to figure out what works for you, but the one that I'd recommend is enable expanded controls with the simultaneous L2 and R2. And you notice I'll have L2 and R2. The first one, when I hold down L2 and then hold down R2, it's going to go to cross hotbar 2 left, and I'll explain and show what this means here in a second. And then the third, the next one is cross hotbar 7 right. And there's a reason I do this, and there's a reason I offset them, and that's under the sharing tab here. So if you look at my cross hotbar, 1 and 2 are not shared, and what that means, same thing for the hotbar setting, is that they're job and class specific. Everyone that's checked is shared, so my hotbar 7 is actually shared, and so all my jobs are going to have this and use this one, while 2 is going to be specific for the class job that I'm playing on. So going back to that option, this is kind of how I have it set up, and to show what that looks like is that I can go in and hold this down, and you'll see more actions. So this is L2 and R2, and these are job specific actions for my paladin. But then if I hold down the R2 and then L2, you see a couple of other items here. So you'll see my mount and my flying mount roulette, and then this is how I have it for every job. You'll see my limit break there, but I'll go over exactly how I've got my layout here in a little bit. So this makes it helpful that every job I can always have these common actions that I'm going to use a lot here, and then job specific extra items that I don't have room for on the standard hotbar. That's just my preference because I don't really like switching through a lot of hotbars all at one time. And if you're new to the controller, you can actually hold down R1 or right bumper, and you can press any of the face buttons to easily switch between the values and get around there. So, okay, so I want to go ahead and go into some kind of useful macros that I've got set up right now, especially here as a paladin. So I'm going to go into my user macros, and then there's really just two that I have on my paladin, but I'm also going to talk about a couple other nice ones that I've got. So if you look here, you'll see micro icon fast blade, mercy stroke, which you get from Marauder, fast blade, and then shield lob. And what this does for you is that whenever you're out of range, it's going to automatically go in and shield lob the enemy. But if you're close, it's going to be fast blade. And you'll notice there on my cross hotbar, right here is where I place the macro. And what this is that instead of having fast blade and shield lob on two different spots, I put them all here. And so if I'm not close enough, it will shield lob. But if I am within range, it will fast blade, and that will start out my various combos. So it saves you an extra spot. And I also put mercy stroke on there so that whenever it procs, I'm able, I can use it when I start my combo off, etc. And really, the only other macro is I got my cooldowns macro. I just kind of map them all to one here, and that way it just allows me to kind of really buff myself up very fast if needed. And the ones that I like to use more often, I've got I've got hotbarred to different areas, but this is just a way that I can reduce the overall amount of items that I've got in space that I need, so I don't have to do a lot of switching when playing on the controller. Oh, and then see here. And then the last but not least, I've got my like marking items. So what I'll try to do, since I'm new to actually making videos, is I'll try to put the text up. If I can't, then I'll link it in the description below. But you'll see that I can easily mark several targets, as many as needed. And when going to the cross hotbar, you see I've kind of got 1, 2, 3, and 5 slotted. The basic idea is, like, if I look at number 3, is that we're going to mark the target we're focused on first as a focus target. Then we're going to go and have it auto target several other enemies in the area, marking them then with the various signs, and then returning me back to my focus target. And this is real helpful when leading a party, and you can say, okay, here's the kill order. It's also very helpful if you're playing any kind of other job where you're like, okay, well, we need some better coordination on our kill order, and you can kind of use that, and hopefully people follow it. So anyway, those are a couple helpful macros. And so last but not least, I want to kind of go into how I've got my cross hotbar set up. So I've gotten that one macro, Paladin main, listed actually as a part of my, I usually go right side for my main side, and then left side for my kind of more reactionary and situationally based things. So Paladin main, which is going to either shield lob or fast blade. Then I've got in the B slot or the circle, you'll have Savage Blade, and then in the tough spot, Rage of Hathalon. So this is kind of my main enemy building combo. I do the same thing for Dark Knight and the same thing for Warrior. It's going to always kind of be, here's my typical combo for building hate. And then on the right side, you'll see that I've got, again, I start here, and I can go to Riot Blade, and then I can go to Goring Blade. So I've kind of got this little combo listed out over here as well. For a Paladin, I've got Flash, and I've got Circle of Scorn here on the right side. So typically I like to Flash, Scorn, and then Flash again. And that gives me that really good way of building out hate. And there's actually a striking dummy here, so I can mark it. And you'll see that it does all of that. From here as well, then I've got a couple of buffs. One of the things that's important, and I do across all my jobs, is that you see Shield Bash here, same spot that I use for Dark Knight and for Warrior for my stun. It's always going to be in the same spot. And then I've got a couple of my other, again, situational stuff here. So over here on the, finishing up on the right, and the last kind of skill that I've got is my Shield Swipe, which is very reactionary. And with the changes in 3.1, was very helpful, and I use it far more than I ever have. On the left side, I've got Shield Bash, Clemency, level 60 Paladin. We've got Royal Authority, which combos off of Riot Blade for a lot of damage. Personally, I would like to somehow get this over here, but I haven't figured out what I want to sacrifice or move around yet. Sentinel for good debuff, cover if I need to protect somebody. My cooldown macro that I showed off earlier. Sheltron, which is great because it's a great way to proc this, and then Spirits Within. On my, actually just to easily switch, so I can show these off without having to hold it down. Shield Oath, Sword Oath, and I put those again on, on this section so that I don't, because I'm not going to be needing them all the time. Then I've got Divine Veil, and I've got Bloodbath, Foresight, Provoke, which is nice and easy if I need to switch into it and press, for me, the A button. And then I've got Hallowed Ground. And as a last-ditch effort, I have Sprint. If I'm running around the town, or if things get really bad, and it's better to sprint and then to die. That's kind of how I've got those configured. And you'll see I've got some skills, like Cure, and then there we go. And a couple other things listed over here. And that's just because most of my time I spend on the main page, and then I use this for my alternate. The nice thing is that when you're with that setting that you can only switch between the two. And I should probably highlight that here. System configuration. Nope, that's not the one. Character configuration. Let's see here, hotbar. And I forgot to highlight this a bit ago, but whenever you can enable customization when your weapon is drawn, and so I only let myself cycle through hotbar 1 and 2, so I don't have to cycle through all my additional hotbars when I'm engaged in an enemy. And that's just because whenever you're fighting and you find yourself on a crazy hotbar, and you're like, oh, where's my, where's the skill? And it's just scary and dangerous. So, yeah, that's essentially what. How I've got everything set up. So here's me just doing a typical combo, and it's really easy to play. Again, playing a controller is my preferred method. I find it way more comfortable than mouse and keyboard, but everybody's got their own preference, and they're going to do what they're going to do. So anyway, that's all I've got for you right now for the controller guide for Paladin. And let me know if you want me to show off any of my other settings for my other jobs, or if you want to see any other controller guides to any other of the jobs as well, because I think it's just a lot more fun that way. You probably also noticed I have a ton of macros that relate to other jobs, so I'd be happy to show this off. Anyway, thank you very much, and y'all have a great day.